Poilievre is taking a very aggressive approach to the Liberal Party of Canada. So this was an interview that happened, I think, last week. And it was the first time I've really heard him take a very clear and enunciated approach to how he views the Liberal Party of Canada. And this was the video that was in question.
There's not going to be a Liberal Party in the next election. Justin Trudeau, of course, is not a Liberal. He is a radical authoritarian. He's the opposite of liberal. He's very illiberal. This is not the party of Chrétien, Manley, Martin. This is a radical authoritarian diversion that you've never seen before and that you don't recognize. In order to clamp down and avoid anybody standing up to him, he's passing censorship laws. He's cracking down on political opponents. And of course, he's taking over the media so that he won't have any contrary voices in the press.
I totally agree with that. 100%. Because I've always, just by virtue of the politics that I believe in, I've always voted Liberal federally. This time I'm looking at this going, hell no way, not in a million years. And I totally agree with that. And I think that it's just wild when I talk to friends of mine who are Liberal supporters, who still espouse that mindset of I've always voted Liberal, Liberal's the right way, Liberal's the only way to go. And it's just can you not see the divide between what a traditional Liberal would believe and what this man is doing? Even the Liberals themselves are not in agreement with it. So, and you see that breakdown happen constantly. But it's just how do you keep looking at this person and going, that's a leader? I don't understand that cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. What I found interesting about this statement and the way he worded it, they're not liberal, they're illiberal. And he made a lot of very intense statements, I would say, from a Canadian perspective. When it comes to our politics, those are some fighting words and stuff I've never heard in our politics. It's one thing to say the other side's plans aren't going to work, they're going to be a waste of time, don't vote for them, vote for me. But when you're turning around telling them that you're telling them they're un-Canadian, they don't deserve to be in this country, don't vote, they need to be gone. That's what I heard in that.
Yeah.
And that was whoa.
But see, I see, I guess I'm not as excited by that, because I just look at it and I'm going, that's what the Liberal Party has been saying for the past, 2 years now about the Conservatives. They've been saying they're bringing their American style politics up here. They're doing this and they're going to be bad for Canada. They're ripping apart the fabric of Canada. And it's just they've been saying this kind of rhetoric. It's nice to see him actually stand up to it. I actually look at that and I go, I have so much respect for you, Pierre. I vote for you.
Yeah. And the one thing about it though is, you said it, the Liberals have been doing it too. The issue with the Liberals compared to what he just did was he was able to point to specific examples of what the issues are, versus the Liberals are just kind of spouting stuff off. And the way he said, this is not the party of Chrétien, this is not the party of Manley, and because I've never heard a liberal side say this is not the Harper Party. Yeah, this isn't going so on and so forth. I think that's a big statement, and it shows you kind of where the politics are at. And what I heard between the lines in that statement is, you're either voting for the Canada or for a Canada that's it's not going to be there if you vote these guys in again. Yeah. And I agree with you said earlier about friends you're talking to who are operating off intel that's about 10 years old. Yeah. Well, this is what the ideals were of the Liberal Party back then, and they haven't really checked in and really seen their values since. It's just easier. There's less of a cognitive load that way, which that's just human nature. And it's then when that understanding is then challenged, that's really tough to accept. Is that an excuse? No. Do we need to really have conversations to persuade people? Yes. But that's what you're really battling right now.
Yeah, and quite honestly, like I alluded to last week, I am battling that conversation right now with friends of mine, to the point where they told me that their friendship was irreparably damaged. Now, update on that story, that friend actually came back and said hey, realized I overreacted. I shouldn't have behaved in that way. I'm sorry. And I'm like, you know what? I understand. I get that. Politics is enough to make anybody crazy right now, especially given the environment and the landscape we're in. We'll still continue talking about this stuff, but also drawing a boundary of those ad hominem attacks, they're not appropriate. I'm not here to be a doormat, but at the same time, I'm also not going to try and and I don't know, persuade you when you're not willing to be persuaded. I'm just here to like have an open conversation. And so I think that actually set a really good tone for going forward with these kind of discussions. But it is interesting to see kind of that, like I call it pretzeling, where you like just turn themselves inside out of like this logic that they're using to try and justify or justify the things that are happening. And I don't understand, because I'm like, look at the metrics that you're seeing out there. Look at quality of life, look at hope, look at all the things that they're measuring, and then tell me that things are better and say that with a straight face. And people are like, oh no, it's because of the pandemic. I'm like, it's really not. Like the rot started before the pandemic even fell into place, and it just never got better from there.
Yeah, the pandemic exposed it all.
Exactly.
It made it far worse. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think going into that, we have, Parliament's back in session, dude. And question period was fire.
I know.
And I know you were super excited to get into it. I will let you lead the way here. What are some things that really stood out to you in today's question period?
I think I sent you the clip that Pierre actually put on his on his social media account. He had questioned Trudeau about his vacation again, which we all know and love. Mm-hmm. And he basically pointed out the hypocrisy of flying on these private jets that are burning ridiculous amounts of carbon, and then questioning, where was the carbon tax you were paying on that? He said, you weren't, because you're getting this all for free because of your position, your power, your authority, and your rich friends. And you go take a vacation that's $80,000 for free. He said, where's your carbon tax? Where's your climate justice there? And then Justin Trudeau gets up and he says something about how, the Conservative parties, they don't even believe in climate change. Ha, ha, ha. And then he gets up, and Pierre gets up again. He's like, he's just a big hypocrite. He doesn't care. He will fly his private jet wherever he wants to because he doesn't care about the environment. It's only a measure for the lesser people. And I was just like, holy crap. I love it.
Yeah, he really dropped the hammer down on him.
Yeah.
In that, you got one more thing to say.
No. I was just going to say that I think the quotes, because I have a couple friends that I sent this to, and the quotes that came out of 3 out of the 4 people I sent it to was, what a savage. It's just like, yes, true.
Yeah, he was playing no games. And on top of that, Poilievre's attacking and really putting the pressure on Trudeau about the carbon tax, yada, yada, yada. He volleys the question to Trudeau on the carbon tax as per usual, and this was the answer that Trudeau gave.
While the Conservative leader is muzzling his own caucus and putting himself first, we'll keep putting Canadians.
Get ready.
He walked. This one is just too easy. He walked into it. He had to muzzle a member from Newfoundland who called for an end to his leadership, joining another senator who did the same, because they understand that their constituents are literally starving and unable to heat their homes because the Prime Minister is quadrupling the carbon tax, doubling housing costs, and giving the worst inflation in 40 years. Why won't he listen to, instead of intimidating, his member for Newfoundland and put his leadership up to a review for...
I love that.
Got him. Yeah. So it's just one of those moments, right, where I just, based on, again, that interview that happened last week, and then he going into question period, just ready to punched him right in the mouth, and Trudeau didn't know what was going on. It was tough to watch.
I know, but I love it. I really, I really love it. And if you saw that interview that the MP from Newfoundland actually gave, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, we'll be getting into it later. Yeah.
Where is the Liberal, mouthpiece or publicity? What word am I struggling?
The whip?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like publicist is the word I'm looking for.
Gotcha.
Like, who was the person that was supposed to look at this and go, maybe we should not say that?
Yeah.